Alright guys, what's up? Back again with some more updates on the Perfect Grade Unleashed Nu Gundam that's coming out at the beginning of next year. Before we get to that, though, a couple of other things to talk about here briefly. Bandai is having their Next Phase hobby event currently, and yesterday they talked about some 30 minutes label stuff where they unveiled a new 30 minutes preference Ayanami Ray kit that's going to be coming out. They also had in the 30 minutes fantasy line a new dragon body kind of silhouette there, and there's also going to be a dragon knight and some cool new dragon guy character stuff coming to the 30 minutes fantasy line, which looks pretty cool. And then in the 30 minutes missions line, they did also unveil a new couple of kits there for that line as well, and 30 minutes sisters as well. So they had a few new announcements in the 30 minutes label line. That stuff's all really cool. You can check that out on the website. Now it's all up for pre-order on USAGundamStore.com. You can check that out there. And this morning they had a live stream for the 45th anniversary of Gunpla there, and they talked about basically all the new releases that we already knew. There wasn't anything new unveiled. They did have a new display of the entry grade Wing Gundam, which looked a lot nicer. So before, when we saw the unveiling of that, we just basically saw like a 3D render of just the unpainted model, and it looks cool, and like the part separation, everything looks really nice, but it looked much better during the live stream there. So that actually looks really nice. They had the Master Grade Barbatos Lupus there again, that we also saw recently at Shizuoka Hobby Show, so also not really new there, but every time I see that kit, I just keep thinking each time how much better it looks. Each time I see it, it looks awesome. So really looking forward to the Barbatos Lupus Master Grade kit. And then they showed the new G-Quox HD kits and new Iron Blooded Orphans HD kits that were also revealed recently at Shizuoka Hobby Show. So nothing really too new there, and we've talked about that just fairly recently, so I won't really kind of get into too much detail on that stuff. That all looks really cool though, especially the new Iron Blood Orphans Gundam kit that we're getting. That HD looks particularly nice. But obviously the main event was the Perfect Grade Nu Gundam. So there was a couple of things that we got to see now that we didn't see before. And on that note, I will just say that I don't think that this was the best way for Bandai to reveal this kit, because it's supposed to be like the peak of 45 years of Gunpla, and there's supposed to be like all this engineering and everything going into this kit, and it's supposed to just be amazing. And obviously one point that a lot of people have been talking about with this kit is just the price point on it as well. And the way that they've rolled it out, having it, kind of teased, and then like kind of the big unveiling at Shizuoka Hobby Show recently, and then getting some more information today that we didn't have at that time, just kind of trickle out of more and more information about it. I think it would have been a lot more impressive had like everything all been unveiled kind of all at once, and then it definitely would have made that price a lot easier to swallow too, because now that we see like more and more about it, it's kind of seeming like, all right, the price seems a bit more reasonable now that we're kind of seeing more about this in detail. But the two main things that we got from today's live stream that we didn't see before is the look at the inner frame. So we have new images of what the inner frame is going to look like, and we'll talk some more about that. And then the LED unit. So the LED unit, we already knew was going to be a thing, and we already knew it was going to be sold separately, so it wasn't really anything too much for that. We did get a price for this. It's going to be 14,000 yen, so expect around $140, $150 for that once it gets here to the US. So that's pretty steep. That's kind of about what I was expecting, if not even like a little bit more. And considering what the LED does, it does seem particularly expensive, and we'll talk some more about that here in a minute as well. But that one is going to be coming out sold separately. And so they didn't have the LED unit in the display unit that they were showing off during the live stream, but we just have images of what the LED unit is going to look like installed anyway. We don't know what it's going to look like outside the kit. They haven't yet shown a photo of just like what the LED unit looks like. I'm not sure if there's any particular reason for that. Maybe they don't want like other third-party companies like being able to see kind of how it's designed, and they can like get to work on starting to basically make their own kind of copies of it like straight away. That might be part of the reasoning, but anyway, basically what the LED unit is going to do is light up the head and torso. So we'll see light coming through, obviously the eyes, the head cameras, and then on the torso through like the camera there on the chest, through the vents in the front of the chest, and also in the cockpit as well. So not necessarily like a full body LED system. So that's where I'm wondering kind of why it's so expensive. Bandai LED units have always been like kind of expensive, and this one seems particularly expensive in that, it's not quite as expensive. I think that the Perfect Grade Exia and the Perfect Grade Unicorn LED systems were more expensive, I believe. This one's not quite as high, but still, it seems pretty high for basically just lighting up the chest and the head. So that's not really a whole lot of lights necessarily that you're getting. And then so far, all we can see of this is that it lights up green. We don't even know if it's going to be able to, change colors, if that's going to be a thing. That might be a feature that maybe we just haven't seen yet, but we can assume that because the kit is going to be coming with the same base as the Unicorn Gundam, that the actual battery block is going to fit into the base, and the wiring will go up through the arm of the display base and then into the back of the Gundam, very similar to how the Unicorn Gundam LED system is installed in this. So I mean, you can kind of get an idea of kind of what ultimately the LED system is going to look like for this, but yeah, the price does seem pretty high for what you're getting in there. That said, I mean, it does look very cool with the LEDs on, just from what we can see from the render image there, especially with the cockpit open. You can see the light emitting inside the cockpit and everything. So I hope that'll be really nice. I hope it will have some additional features that maybe we haven't seen yet, something just being able to change the color, at least, if that's something that you want to do. I mean, green kind of makes sense. Usually anytime we're seeing anything related with the Nu Gundam and Psycho Frame, it's usually green, and I believe all the head cameras and everything else are also just usually green as well. So it might just be green, but hopefully it's a different color. Anyway, back to the other point, like I said, which is the inner frame. So the main points of the inner frame is basically kind of everything that we expected. So if you guys remember this image here where it talked about the first 2 points, and then the third point was mysterious. It wasn't shown before, but now we have this on the official website for the kit, on Bandai's website for the PGU Nu. We weren't exactly sure what point 3 was ultimately going to be, whether it was going to be related to the frame or related to the LED system or something else entirely. Well, it turns out it's just related to the frame. So it's going to be a multicolored frame with a heavy metallic texture. So that's really cool, but it's not anything surprising at all, considering this is a Perfect Grade Unleashed, and this is not the first Perfect Grade Unleashed. So we know we already have the Perfect Grade Unleashed RX-78 Gundam for an example, and this frame basically looks just very similar to what we got with the Perfect Grade Unleashed RX-78 too. And so what I mean is that it's not anything surprising, basically. I'm not surprised to see anything in here, although there is something new added to the way that the frame construction works on this one that we didn't have with the Perfect Grade RX-78. So it is going to have photo etch parts. That again is something that we have seen before. It is going to have those 3D stickers in there for those little red and green stickers on there that are kind of meant to look like lights around on the frame. So we'll have that. That's all stuff that we've seen with RX-78, but the new thing that we're going to have with this one, it looks like, is that this is also going to include some cables for soft materials. So there's going to be some actual just lead wire cables that you're going to have to install in here as well. It looks like there's some in the torso, in the arms, in the the bicep, also in the legs. It looks like there was some, and in some different areas around on the kit are going to have some wires that you're going to have to actually install. So this is a cool new feature. For sure. Honestly, for myself, I would kind of just have preferred these as just separate plastic parts. So if you build a lot of especially more military model kits, also machining Krieger and other stuff that kind of has more kind of real world, mechanical parts and stuff to it. A lot of times you'll have these wire details like this will just be represented as just plastic parts, and they'll be very fine and delicate little plastic parts. And especially on this, I mean, yeah, if these are plastic parts, the danger is that they can be very susceptible to breaking, especially while you're trying to sand them or something like that. But Bandai has proved before that what they can do when they make parts like that is that they just make it in a little bit softer plastic so that it's more resistant to being able to break. I think that would have been definitely a much better option for this, if what we're seeing for the Perfect Grade Unleashed Nu here, rather than wires. Personally, I would have preferred it just as a little bit softer, just regular plastic parts on a runner. What do you guys think? Which do you prefer? I just think if these are just regular plastic parts instead of wires, it just makes it easier to get it into, it's already molded in exactly the shape it needs to be. If it's wires, you kind of have to worry about trying to get the wire to stay in the right way, and hopefully these will be wires that will work very well for getting them into place and keeping them in place and not having them popping out or anything like that. So I trust that Bandai's got it engineered really nicely, but still I would have preferred just plastic parts for those details, I think. They also made a point to talk about some of the metal parts. That again is something that we saw with the RX-78-2. It used some metal parts in there for the frame. This one is going to be having those as well, probably more so than what we saw with the RX-78-2. So again, that is something that's going to contribute to the price. Metal parts are more expensive to produce. And they have a point here about the cockpit expression with Psycho Frame. Looks like that it's basically going to be secondary parts, just because kind of like everything with the inner frame is all like kind of layered, right? And the inner layer of the cockpit is going to have some like luminescent plastic. Basically, I think it's going to be that same kind of iridescent injected clear plastic that we've seen on a number of kits in the past year, 2 years or so. So you'll have that nice kind of luminescent green plastic there inside the cockpit that will light up really nicely with the LED unit installed there to show like kind of the Psycho Frame around the cockpit. So that'll look really cool. And so ultimately on the frame, yeah, you can see a lot of different layered colors there with the silver, gold, gray, gunmetal parts. Everything in there just looks super, super detailed, which is awesome. And it's just going to be a lot of parts. So that was the other thing too that they showed during the live stream, was they showed how big this is compared to the RX-78-2, and there's also another image here on the website added just once again to show the comparison. So I mean, again, these are all things that are going to be contributing to the price of it too. Imagine, you know, obviously we knew it was going to be bigger, and I mean, you can see here like very clearly just how much bigger it is. So it's a lot more plastic with this. Again, it's all stuff that's going to be making it more expensive. So there is going to be a ton of plastic in this, and just think of like the size of these parts here as well. So although the inner frame doesn't really kind of have anything too new to it compared to the RX-78-2, it's basically, you know, very similar. If you've built the RX-78-2 Perfect Grade Unleashed Gundam, then you pretty much have a good idea of what to expect with this. But yeah, there's a lot of layered plastic and just a lot of plastic. I'm really curious to know what the box size is going to be like for this kit, because I feel like it's going to be absolutely gigantic, like bigger than the Dendrobium box, probably similar to like the HE Neo Zeong box, which I believe is like one of the largest boxes that they make. I think it's even bigger than like the Perfect Grade Fenix box. So it's probably going to be like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, gunpla boxes that we've ever had for this kit. It's just going to be a ton of plastic, a ton of runners, and just the size of everything is going to be really big as well. So those are kind of like the two main points that were revealed during the live stream, the inner frame and the LED unit. But they did also show a little bit more about the gimmick of the fin funnels too, which I thought was pretty interesting. So they showed just kind of more of the features of how the funnels interlock together, which was something we talked about in like the last update video, where in the interview website that they had here, they talked about how it took them a lot of time to develop the system for locking the fin funnels together. And it wasn't really clear just looking at the images. I mean, it doesn't look like anything special, but during the live stream, they actually showed how the fin funnels lock together. And it is actually pretty complex in that you have to pull the end part to like unlock the system, and then you kind of open the little door on the inside and pull a little thing to fold out the little, I think there's 3 little like latch pegs that fold out, and then you lock those into the next funnel and then close the door back down and then lock the thing back closed. So it is quite the system here to get them locked together. And then they were definitely making a point during the live stream to show off how like inseparable the funnels are once you have them locked together. Like they're locked very securely together. So that's great. That's all good news. Obviously, to display it, you are still going to have to use that clear arm that attaches to the display arm in order to just to hold up the funnel so that they're not like weighing down the kit, because they're really large. You know, it's one thing that we've been talking about is just like the size of the kit generally, but I mean the funnels, as you can see there in hand during the live stream, you can just see like how big these are. It's a lot of plastic in there, and so they're going to be really heavy. So it's great that they lock together really nicely. I'm glad that that looks a bit more complex than kind of what it looked like at first, which basically it just looked like kind of an upscaled version of what they did for the RG, but it's definitely much more complex than that. So that was it. They did kind of show off some more of the open hatch gimmicks of like the cockpit and opening some hatches on the legs. I think that the model that they had for the display was definitely not like a finished model, so you could tell they were trying to be like really careful with it. They didn't want to have like anything falling off in the middle of the live stream, because that would have been very embarrassing. So it seems like basically now at this point we kind of pretty much know everything there is to know about this release, but who knows if they might reveal something else more later on down the line. But it seems like for now this is kind of what we should expect for the kit. And I gotta say, so now that we kind of have what seems to be like the full picture of the kit, you know, we can kind of then then reassess, okay, so that $650 price tag for this, does that, seem reasonable? Basically being like twice the price of the RX 782 Perfect Grade Unleashed. And I mean, if we're just talking based on like the volume of plastic alone, I mean, there's definitely a lot more parts. It's definitely a lot bigger parts, so there's just going to be a lot more plastic. There was another cool feature here too, actually. I don't think that they talked about this during the live stream, but there was a new image there on the website showing that it's going to have these like little cloth covers for like over the eyes, the head camera, and the chest camera on there. That's going to be included basically to like recreate the scene when the new Gundam is like in the factory there. So that's really cool. I really like that feature. I'm not sure many people are gonna like ultimately use that on their kit, because kind of like, why would you? But it's really cool to have that included. So it's just kind of another thing that will be included with this. But there's going to be a lot of stuff in there aside from just all the plastic. Like I said, those little cloth covering bits that we just talked about. There's going to be metal parts. There's going to be photo etch parts. There's going to be the 3D stickers. There's just going to be a lot of stuff. And then plus you have to include like economic realities about like the yen losing value recently, just kind of inflation globally in general. And so there's a lot of reasons why just the cost of Gunpla just in general is going up. I mean, earlier this year, Bandai talked about how they're raising prices on some kits, which is something that they've kind of been doing here. Bandai US has raised prices on a number of kits like over the past few years, but this is like even Bandai in Japan, they're like updating the prices on some of their kits. So just there's a lot of like economic factors that go into just the costs of things going up. Now, I'm not saying that I think that, $650, oh yeah, perfectly reasonable for a kit like this. I mean, it's still a lot of money. So, I mean, if this is something, that, it's not going to be for everybody, if this is like something that's just like way out of your price range, I mean, don't go and spend your rent money on something like this. But I mean, the kit is going to be pretty incredible. It's going to be massive. It's going to be super detailed. It's going to be really, really nice for sure. So now that we kind of know everything that there is to know about the kit for the moment, what do you guys think? Does this new information change your guys' thought about the kit at all? Like, do you feel like, oh, okay, like the price seems a bit more reasonable now that we kind of see everything in more detail? Or are you maybe of the mind that now that you've seen everything, you're kind of feeling a bit like unimpressed? I don't know. It's kind of hard to imagine that you could be unimpressed by a kit like this. It seems like it's going to be pretty impressive, if nothing else. But I mean, it does look like it's just going to be packed with a ton of stuff, a ton of detail, tons of parts, and the price point to match. So I think it's going to be certainly a very interesting release. And yeah, I'm just really kind of curious how big that box is going to be. It's going to be a lot of work to put this kit together, let alone paint it and everything else. I mean, I don't know if that's something that I would want to do, but we'll see, once we get the kit in hand early next year. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. And again, if you guys want to check out some of the new releases and updates, you can check out the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching, and make sure you're subscribed if you're not subscribed. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, we'll see y'all later. Bye, guys.